All right, welcome guys to episode 35 of Prepared, your weekly-ish, sometimes fortnightly, sometimes monthly podcast for TBC news and breakdowns. So we finally got a big announcement again. So this is 2 weeks in a row. Let's keep it up where we got big news 2 weeks in a row. So obviously the theme of tonight is Activision has been bought by Microsoft. We're going to talk about that, of course. And there's some other stuff that came out as well. So there's some Season of Mastery stuff. We'll throw in that at the end if we have time. There was a tweet that's been making the rounds. It's got a lot of replies and likes and such that basically was talking about how WoW creators don't get that many views, whereas a React video from Asmongold to a WoW creator will get more views. We'll go into the whole topic of that as well. I think it's an interesting talk about the state of WoW content creation. Then we have the ban list from season 2. I say ban with like quotation marks because it's not really a ban list, and Zirene is on the ban list as well, according to that ban list. And then some nerfs, and we'll talk about shadow resist gear and such, because I think that's been like 90% of my questions has been to do with like shadow resist stuff. Actually, people are really concerned about the shadow resist stuff. But yeah, Zirene, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. Been grinding a ton of honor. That has been a nightmare on Prot Warrior. I don't know how I'll use the word ethical this is. But I have been multi-boxing in BGs. So I run my Prot Warrior to Mage Tower or Stables, and I guard the Stables, and then I play my Ellie Shaman on my other monitor.
That's fine. I think Snuts has been doing that.
I'm actually watching the Stables though, and I'm a Prot Warrior. So what ends up happening is if somebody attacks Stables, I move over to that window. I type that Stables has like X amount of people, and then I pop Shield Wall, and I just wait for people to come. Shield Wall, Last Stand, fucking anything I can.
I actually hate warriors that do that.
Yeah,
you can't get rid of them. They just sit there.
It's actually nice.
It's actually obnoxious. It's so obnoxious trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty effective, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm almost done with the warrior completely, and I don't want to do the other classes. So
you gotta get on the chanimal train. I think he capped like 3 characters.
He didn't show up to raid on Wednesday, so I don't know.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
The rumor has it he slept through raid, so I don't know.
Oh, that's the classic chanimal. You got the classic chanimal there. Yeah. When we used to duo, he used to end the session. I'd be like, hey, so tomorrow? You're like, yeah. Just message me at this time. And if I don't reply, just message me more until I wake up. The trick is that the messaging more does not work. He just sleeps through it. And I still have the classic channel response screenshot saved somewhere where he will literally wake up, reply like, hey, yeah, man, I'm awake, thanks, and then go back to sleep. And you just don't realize that he's gone back to sleep until like 2 hours passes. And you're like, hey, channel, what's going on, man? Didn't you wake up like 2 hours ago? No, he just woke up conscious enough to reply, and then he goes back to sleep. So yeah, you guys got hit with the classic channel there.
It's one of those things where like your automatic response to an alarm is to turn it off, and you're not fully conscious. It's like something that I gotta train myself out of sometimes. So.
Yeah, it's why if I know I'm really tired and I'm relying on my alarm to wake up, I put my phone on the other side of the room, because like it cannot be within arm's reach of me, because I'll just in my tired state like press something and go back to sleep.
And then you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh, what the fuck? I set like 4 alarms. Like, what happened? And then
you're really tired when you wake up and you're in a confused state. Like you slept just enough to go into like a weird sleep state, but then you wake up and you're just confused. You're like, where am I? What's going on? I don't know what's happening right now.
I must be tired all the time then.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Yep.
Shadow wasn't there yet. He didn't even wake up through my... Dude, he does this to everyone. He needs to be punished for this. Actually, no, he's being punished for this because I saw people have been filling his bags with heavy leather balls after I started that trend of throwing heavy level balls at him, but he literally everyone, man. He's like a criminal on a crime spree with his message me and I'll definitely wake up a strategy.
Yeah, when he missed raid, I was like, I don't know, is he okay? And then they're like, he's probably asleep, and I'm like,
yeah. No. See, everyone that knows,
I didn't experience it yet. So.
Good times. But yeah, I should congratulate you, Zirene. Zirene. You have a belt.
Making the list? Oh yeah, I do.
You have a belt. The amount,
it's a good time.
The amount of people that personally message me to say like, dude, did you see Zirene got his belt? They fixed the belt display bug. It's actually impressive that many people know about your chase to have a belt on your character that actually shows.
Yeah. It was ridiculously bad on my dwarf female because it just shows her midsection through the tabard. Like she's got like a crop top tabard is what it looks like, because the dwarf female belt is like this thick. So you're just like, why is this paladin like showing all of this midsection? It was a little disturbing, a little disturbing. Also, I learned that when you cast as a female dwarf, your belly, like, what's the word, undulates or whatever. It like kind of just like waves back and forth. It's really disturbing.
I mean, that sounds like an improvement to me.
Oh. But yeah, I'm glad that we have belts back. Really glad that we have belts back. Actually, this has been a problem since the beta.
When did this happen, actually? Yeah, I guess this has been a problem since the beta. Yeah. When stuff just started disappearing, yeah.
Yeah, somebody said, I don't trust this. I'll believe it when I see it, and I haven't seen it since the beta.
Dude, the best part would have been if your belt appeared, but then like your hat started disappearing. I would laugh so much.
That would be the worst thing, dude. That would be the worst
started disappearing.
God, there was some weird bugs in beta. I think I talked about this where like if you swapped off an item, it swapped off like your pants or something, it morphed the previous image onto the next one's model. So, for example, if I had like boots on that were like, let's say they were the chromatic boots, right? And then I swapped the chromatic boots to like, let's say I had like, what is it? The Blizzard boots or whatever from Blackwing Lair that are like socks with sandals, the Ringo's Blizzard boots or whatever. You would have pink Ringo boots, so it would slap the chromatic boot texture onto the model of the next thing you put on, which got really disturbing when I went from being naked to putting on a dress. I just had a flesh-colored leg. I literally, like, my dress was just completely like flesh. They tried to wrap my legs, the leg model or texture, the leg texture around the dress model, so I looked like a worm. It was like I was just one big piece of flesh. I was like, this is really, really scary. Oh god, the beta had a lot of issues with it, which a lot of them have been sorted out over time. To be completely honest.
I told you, man. Like Blizzard always fixes stuff. It just takes like a year to longer to actually get around to fixing it. Yeah,
ready for release.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of good things, you know. So here's the thing: is the belt was like a really good change. The belt was like a really good change.
I like that you're so happy about the belt of all the changes.
But that wasn't the best change of the patch. You know what the best change of the patch was?
What was the best change?
You can mount with Noggin Fogger now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can mount with Noggin Fogger now. I don't know if it's a bug. It's an undocumented change. They mentioned this nowhere in the patch at all. But you can mount with Noggin Fogger elixirs as a skeleton now. So you can be a skelly man and not have to worry about that. I see a bunch of skeletons running around in AV and Warsong. It's a good time, man. So don't change this. Like one of those examples of like an undocumented change, or like I didn't see it anywhere in the patch notes. That, and there was another one where it was you know how like if you dismounted and you had like a velocity of you were going forward and you dismounted, it would like change your velocity to like moving speed to like walking speed when you dismounted, right?
Yeah.
now you keep your velocity when you dismount in midair.
Oh.
So it makes Druid flight form actually feel a lot better because you can just like dismount and then like go flying at that velocity and then get yourself again. So yeah, and just turn back into form. So it's a small change, but it's pretty nice to not dismount and then just be like, oh, I like cut all my speed. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, all it took for you to get all your belt fixed and everything was for Microsoft to buy Activision, and we're good to go, apparently.
The people at Blizzard are probably a little frustrated at this, because obviously they've been working on this for weeks, right? And now, as soon as the day of like Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard for like $69 billion, nice number. Sorry, 68.7 million, not quite 69. Everybody's like, "Thanks, Bill." Have you seen all of the
the Bill Gates memes? I love those. I love the Bill Gates memes.
Yeah, the photoshopped Bill Gates like memes. I love the one where he's talking. Basically, they took things from like Fight Club or like different Discords or copy pastas and made them Bill Gates things. Where it's like, "Cursed Vision of Sargeras' enhancement prio. If you don't follow this order, say goodbye to all your loot drops." Like, just a bunch of really good things. Oh my god. Oh. The Bill Gates memes are pretty top tier, dude.
Yeah,
I like the Clippy ones too, where somebody put like a Clippy, the Microsoft little paper clip that was so annoying back in the original there was one where he's a pet in the Blizzard store, and I was like, I'll probably buy that pet. It's like, it looks like you're doing a boss. Would you like some help? Like, I think these are. There is a lot of opportunity here for memes and a lot of opportunity here for good things. Bill Gates tweeted rogue glaive prio. Did he really? That seems like propaganda to me. Oh man.
Yeah, man. It came out of left field though. This entire announcement. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
Oh yeah,
anyone saw this coming. I didn't hear it from anyone. It's just out of nowhere one day. Yeah, Microsoft just bought Activision.
There was like
$95 a stock or something like that.
I think that in like October or November, there was an article about Microsoft reevaluating their relationship with Activision Blizzard in light of all the lawsuit stuff. So yeah, people were like, "Uh-oh, this looks bad." And then turns out Microsoft was just like, "I can change him. Like I can change him. Like let me just have this. I can change him. Let me just try." So
I'm just impressed they got $95 per stock, because it was like apparently it was an all cash deal, $68 billion.
All cash?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's actually crazy because before all this happened, your stock was at, what was your stock at? So like $64, and then an announcement happened, and boom, they're back up to 82. But even like 95, man. How far do I have to go back? Yeah, they haven't been at above 95 since like June last year. June last year is the last time they were that high. And they've just been steady decline ever since then. And I don't know, I guess Microsoft sees something in it because they paid $95 or something like that per stock, apparently.
Check Microsoft stock.
Ooh, actually, that's an interesting. Okay, Microsoft down. Yeah, down.
Check like the last 5 days exactly. Yeah, they've Microsoft went down since the announcement, and Blizzard went up. So sure.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is, man, and chat saying Sony lost like a huge amount of market value overnight as well, because people started worrying. Because what's happening for people that don't realize is that now we're like in an arms race where mega corporations are trying to basically control the gaming space. They're trying to basically control the entire gaming space, and we're coming down to like who's going to be able to buy more of the gaming space.
So the console wars have now evolved to a point where they've realized, oh, we can just buy game studios. We can just buy the studios because they have enough big boy bucks now that Microsoft and Sony, like, okay, what if we buy these studios? Because if you look at all the studios that Microsoft owns now, they can just go exclusive with their titles. And then that puts you on like, well, what's the point in buying a PlayStation when Xbox has these titles that I like, right?
Right. Yeah. It's what, like, it's like Halo. It's like they own Bethesda as well, don't they?
Yes. They own Bethesda. They own, I guess, is that Bungie, Halo? There's like a big list of like what they had, and in my opinion, I think it's time to do a Super Smash Brothers style thing for the Xbox. You know, Master Chief fights Sylvanas. You know,
that's how we get WoW back. That's how we get WoW back. That's how we work it out. Okay, that's how we fix Arena. That's what we've always wanted. We just turn it into Super Smash Bros. A better game. And
exactly.
And WoW is saved. That's how we save WoW PvP.
Sylvanish wave dashing, dude. Just imagine. Thrall. I pick Thrall. I main Thrall, dude. There's a lot of like really good IP though, is one of the big things. Oh, don't they also own they own Minecraft now, right?
Yeah, Microsoft own Minecraft. I got a graph here for the people that want to see. So these are like this is from the Aatrox video, by the way, guys. If you haven't seen Aatrox's video on it, it's very good. He always does really interesting Marketing Monday type videos on his stream, and he does them on YouTube as well.
That's a lot of zeros.
And yeah, you can see these are like the biggest game company acquisitions and such. Interestingly enough, Activision was the one that acquired like King in the past, and that's Candy Crush for people that don't know.
Oh, this is a I can already tell what this is. This is the price that was paid for a gaming studio in the industry, right?
Yeah, this is the price for all the gaming industry studios that were paid, and you can see Activision like just massive.
Because this deal is unprecedented, like actually really unprecedented. It is, I think it is by far like the biggest studio buyout that we've seen, to my knowledge. So. They are metaphorically slapping their Microsoft dicks on the table, and it turns out they're pretty large. Like, holy shit, this is a ridiculous buyout, because all those other studios, sure, they aren't like Activision Blizzard combination, but and here's the thing too, is we're thinking about like the Blizzard side of things. The Activision side of things actually has a lot of value. Like Call of Duty has a lot of value. So there's a lot of really good titles and a lot of things that like Activision has done in the past that they can tap into, and it seems to be really good for them. So
yeah, I think a lot of WoW creators forget that Activision's such a big company, and for the longest time, I think it was Call of Duty every year when they'd release a new version of Call of Duty or whatever it is, it would just break records. It would just break records. It would sell like crazy, and I mean, for the longest time, YouTube gaming was developed on the back of like Call of Duty commentary videos. It was literally the biggest genre on YouTube for a long time in the early days of YouTube gaming. The interesting thing is that, man, it's such a big acquisition, but that if you you compare it to the worth of Sony, it's literally half of Sony. It's literally half of Sony, and there's only a few companies in the world that could have made this cash buyout, and Microsoft is like one of 3 or something like that have this amount of cash on hand to just like, hey, I want to buy Activision. I want to buy Activision for cash, and we have the money in the bank. We're just gonna do that.
Oh, so what I was gonna say is like, Call of Duty has a lot of buying power. There's actually a demographic in the industry known as the console bro, and the console bro, because there's like hardcore PC gamers, right? There's people who are casual mobile gamers, stuff like that, which is like a really big demographic. The console bro gamer is one of the biggest demographics for Xbox and Sony, and the console bro gamer is somebody who buys Madden, FIFA, Call of Duty every year, and a random extra title. They buy 4 games a year. every Madden, FIFA, Call of Duty,
and Halo back in the day,
well. And some random other game.
Yeah,
that's actually a demographic called the console bro. So that is really big in the US, because the US isn't really big on like the average person in the US isn't really big on PC gaming. PC gaming is a little bit bigger in like Europe, for example. You kind of think about like how they really like Battlefield, CS:GO, even World of Warcraft has always been a little more popular in Europe, right? So the console really has a lot of power in the US, and so if you're a company who's like focused on growing in the US at all, then it's actually a really good deal to focus on the companies that make these games. So it's a pretty good move in my opinion, but I wonder what's going to happen to the companies, the company internally. Right?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because the community reaction from basically everyone has been, well, it has to be a good thing. It can't be getting worse, because the state of WoW and Blizzard and such is, if we talk in relation of how this is going to affect WoW in particular, is that, a lot of people don't think it can get much worse. So, it's got to be going up, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be a good thing if Blizzard shows more care now that they're owned by Microsoft. But for people that don't understand, though, like the purpose of I got one more graph here that just shows the the worth of Microsoft versus Sony and Activision.
Yeah,
it's just like this massive thing. I've never seen a state where everyone was just so down in the game that they just think that, oh yeah, this has to be good. This has to be good, because what else could they do to make it worse? Because they've just been making mistake after mistake for the longest time. So surely this has to be a good thing.
Also keep in mind, people are really excited because all the stuff about Bobby Kotick, right? Yeah. Where threats, secretary, all those things, knowing about the sexual harassment, and apparently they're allegedly doing nothing. So there's a lot of people going like, now he is accountable, not just to himself, because the CEO can usually just be like, I'm going to stay, or if they have a board of directors or anything like that. But now it's like, oh, they actually have to, he has to report to Microsoft, he has to report to Phil, and he's accountable to him. So that people are now saying they have a little more faith in Phil than they do Bobby. And I think what's going on is there is somebody saying that he is being removed or stepping down or whatever for Bobby Kotick. I don't know if it's official or anything like that, but there were things I had glanced at or read in passing that said that he was not going. Originally, it was
transitionary or whatever.
Yeah, originally it was oh, he's going to stay, and everybody's like, this is outrageous. And then a few hours later, it was oh, he's actually going to be removed. So. Or leaving. And a lot of people are happy and mixed feelings about it, because people are he's literally getting away with no punishment, and he's getting a payday to leave.
Yeah, massive payday. I think someone said like 200 or 300 billion or something along those lines. He's walking away with not billion, 200 or 300 million is what he's walking away with, just in his pocket, based on his package deal as CEO. So yeah, he's making bank on this. I don't know how he pulled that off, but even the Overwatch League was something that was really pushed by Bobby Kotick and such, and everyone knows what's become of Overwatch League these days. It's a very declining game. And
Overwatch 2.
Yeah. The mess that's left behind with Overwatch 2 as well. But the question is, I'm curious to see what you think, Zirene. Do you think a WoW subscription could get rolled into this Game Pass with Microsoft? So for people that don't know, one of the big reasons that Microsoft could be doing this is because they have Game Pass, which is the online all-in-one subscription package that you get. So do you think that there's a possibility that WoW could get rolled into that package, and then we have a bigger influx of people maybe?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't see it as something that's completely out of the question. Now, the idea of it being a pull to it, maybe. But if I were the the people selling that, who would I be trying to get? Would I be trying to get random people who are like, oh, you know what, I have this thing, so I'll play World of Warcraft and try it out? Or do you want the people who are playing World of Warcraft to go, oh, I can actually get more games for a subscription if I just swap over to that? And so you like cancel your WoW sub and then do the Xbox thing. So it kind of gets a little bit of both, but only a little bit. So I don't see it as like a big grab of a good demographic. I see it as kind of like a small expansion, which can be good, but I don't think it's going to be overwhelmingly like positive for the game. So I'm kind of indifferent on it, even though I think it's like, I don't think it hurts, right?
Yeah.
So I can see it happening.
The thing I feel is that the MMO crowd is just kind of a dying breed in itself. The people that really enjoy playing a lot of MMOs to the level that a lot of WoW people, gamers play WoW, is that you don't see that much anymore. You really don't. Not the type that, at least in the WoW category as well, play one game that much to this level.
Well, MMOs like monopolize your time, or like, take up your time. It's the same thing with like a lot of people who have like a main game now. I've talked about this before, where like we're in a generation now where people have like a main game. You play Valorant, you play League of Legends, you play WoW. It is your game. Back in the day, you like played Smash Brothers on like Super Smash Brothers 64 for like an hour, pop that out, and then you put in like Wave Racer. You played with like dolphins and stuff like that, and like rode a jet ski for an hour, and then popped that out and played Star Fox. Like you went from game to game very frequently. Here, it's like a lot of people don't do that. They have like a main game they always come back to. One of the problems, though, and like I've talked about this as well, is I just think subscription models for particular games are just not good anymore, because it requires an upfront commitment to the game before you even play it. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm playing WoW. Sure, they can offer free trials, and like Final Fantasy does free trials and stuff like that. But that to me is still a commitment, right? I have to like sign up for it. I have to level this character. I have to figure out like the game and stuff at a pace that's like rushed, because I only have so much time on the trial. So, or up to a certain level, I guess. But yeah, I don't like the subscription model anymore. I feel like it is overwhelmingly in favor nowadays in the gaming industry to not even have just like, I also equate it to like, people don't like buying games at like a $55 or $60 price tag, $70 price tag, and like not knowing anything about it. Like free to play is now like overwhelmingly popular. Valorant, League of Legends, like Riot did a really good job of like making free to play no longer a stigma of like, you're going to be a bad game if you're free to play, and like companies take you as a joke because you're just like some fucking browser game. Sorry, RuneScape, you're actually pretty good. So, the free to play games and stuff like that, I think that don't have any like paywalls or anything that gatekeeps you are very good, and cosmetics are the thing that you should pay for. So yeah, a lot of games going free to play is, I think, the move that should happen. And then developers should be encouraged to make or have a team that is in charge of cosmetics separate from the gameplay and make those good. So the gameplay, the people who work on gameplay, provide the game with content and make people want to stick around, right? So because it's like, oh, it's interesting. It keeps me like invested. Same thing with like esports, of why like it gets like player retention. You want to design the game in a way that keeps player retention high, and then you want to make cosmetics to have a like influx of money so that your game has a way to pay the fucking people who work on it. So it's why they have like the skins team and the balance team, right? Balance team actually doesn't make you any money directly in like Riot Games. Yes. It's the other things that do.
The thing with Blizzard is it feels like they're trying to do all of that while doing the subscription model at the same time. In a lot of ways, it's like you pay for the WoW subscription, but yeah, don't worry, they also have all those other elements you mentioned. So it's like they want people to pay the subscription, but then they also want people to buy from the cash shop and do all the other things that would usually come from a free-to-play game. And it honestly feels like something that's just been brought over from the older ages of gaming and MMOs and such, and it's just now been almost grandfathered in and people in WoW just, oh yeah, it's a subscription game. That's WoW. Whereas like they would have been a lot better if they ditched that a while ago and started heading towards a better direction instead of just taking the money. Because the other problem is as well is that a lot of people look at WoW and think, well, if we're paying the subscription, shouldn't it be better? Or shouldn't like the service and everything be better? Because once upon a time, MMO subscriptions actually meant something. Back in the OG MMO days, I don't know how many people remember this, but EverQuest, the game that WoW basically copy-pasted a lot of stuff from, had a premium subscription model where you could actually choose to pay more and you got access to a special server. And it was like $50 a month. So the standard pay was like $10 a month, but this server was like $50 a month or something like that. And that server in exchange got way more benefits. So you had like actually GMs, you could just find GMs whenever you wanted GMs. They'd do special events, they'd get perks and such. It basically would be like the VIP server is what they had. And it actually did all right for a while. It was really popular, but then like most MMO problems, it ran into the problem like, oh, well, you know, once those guys are done, there's not like an endless line of people lining up to pay $50 a month to play an MMO. So
yeah, and again, getting new people is always really hard. Like that's the biggest appeal of free to play is you cast a very fucking wide net, and then people will pay if they like the game and like cosmetics that you make. Whereas subscription, people are like, I have to buy the game, and then I also have to get a subscription for it. So it's like two commitments: the upfront money, and then the subscription that some people will forget to cancel. Like subscriptions, in my opinion, are pretty predatory on your game or on players, and banking on if they don't like the game, at least you made money from them, right? Like that's the thing is if people don't like your game and they still paid for the game plus the subscription, you're like, got them. Like they played for like 4 days. Oh well, wasn't their game? Still got money from them. Sure, you'd like more money, like, and have them have a constant subscription. It's good, but for example, like Riot Games, you don't make any money off of anybody who doesn't want to buy any cosmetics. Like you make $0. So that I think is a big deal because the wider net you can cast, the more potential you have for people who enjoy the game. Also makes the game accountable to the players to be good, or else you make no money. Here, it's like if people want to try your game, and the advertisement is what you're like accountable to. Is your game advertised well? Do people like want to try it, and then they come in the door, and then they actually like try it out a little bit? Somebody said earlier, I think Tex OCE said it's so easy to play WoW for free if you do a little in retail. Now that is fine. I get that. That's the WoW token stuff, all that. That is kind of irrelevant in my mind to this conversation because we're talking about trying to like cast a wide net of free to play. People don't want to play retail to play the other games. And even if they play retail, playing for free with the WoW token is like okay. But I still feel like the subscription model is very predatory on people and allows you to get money from people who don't like your game or won't like your game. And that's what I don't like about it, is the accountability factor of a subscription model is not to the players. Initially, at least. The longevity of it is to the players where they have to enjoy your game for a long time. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, the big problem with MMOs has always been the same thing, that the players coming in has to somehow stem the bleeding of players leaving the game. Yep. Right. And by having that subscription model, they only make it harder on themselves to try to fix that equation that's almost impossible to balance. Because I don't know any MMO that has ever really fixed it. I saw like Final Fantasy. They found like their niche there to be able to sustain for a while, but it's just always been the curse of every MMO is that they can't fix the equation where they get enough people coming in to replace the people going out. And just by having that subscription model, it makes it so much harder. It actually just makes it so much harder to get people into the game. Because I mean, this actually like kind of ties into a lot of what we would talk about for the second topic for today, which is did you see the tweet, Zirene, that was going around?
The Bill Gates one? No, which one?
Yeah, so
I think the one you linked to me earlier.
Yeah, the one I linked. Yeah. So this is a tweet that came out from Big Moran. So for people that don't know him, he's known in the PvP space. I think he writes for Skill Capped. He's a known PvPer for a long time, among other things. And he put out this tweet that got a lot of responses, which was saying being a WoW content creator is absolutely whack right now because you can pour your heart and soul into a 20 YouTube minute video that gets 40,000 views max. But if Asmongold reacts to it on stream, he will get 10 times that amount on a react video 3 days later. Then he does follow it up with a second tweet that says, I have absolutely nothing against Asmongold or React content in general, but it's just a weird state of content creation where the content itself is secondary to the commentary about that content. Also, you have to make vids that are critical of the game in order to farm. And then he links some photos of the recent popular video by Venruki talking about why new players are quitting World of Warcraft with about 100,000 views. Then he links the Asmongold video with reacting to it that gets like 500,000 views. So I feel like this is a whole bunch of different topics kind of bundled in one here that it's kind of unpacking. And in a lot of ways, I understand the frustration, but I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment or the frustration at times in this. Because while I can empathize and understand as a creator that, hey, man, it sucks that the game that you love, especially if you're on PvP content creation and guide creation in PvP, there's a limited amount of stuff you can do. You end up down that rabbit hole of, oh God, I need to make that video every week or every 3 videos a week, and I'm out of really good stuff to talk about. So I gotta, people liked it when I talked about that one thing one time. How do I change one thing in that video and make it a new video, right? You go down this weird rabbit hole where you don't really have really engaging, really top tier content anymore to talk about because you've covered it already. And in the WoW space, it's just, I view it as a numbers issue in that if you're working in the WoW category, especially in a niche category, you can't just it's kind of your fault that you picked a niche in a lot of ways that doesn't have the potential to get that many views. Because like, look, if you want a lot of views, sometimes you should have jumped into foodie, like make some food videos or challenge videos or like interview people on the street videos. There's certain topics that are just bigger, broader audience, and it's hard for me to sit there and be like, oh yeah, man, it sucks as I'm a WoW content creator. I can't get this many views when I picked the category that is limited from the start. Like it's kind of like on me as the creator to pick a better category if I want to get more views. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on this, Zirene?
I guess I have 2 thoughts. One of them is a little half-baked, so I'll start with the better one. Is that this is just how content creation is in general. This is how brands are in general. Is people have a lot of brand power, like Asmongold, for example, right? If he watched this podcast and reacted to the podcast, or us talking about him watching other shit and Big Moran talking about him, like, yeah, it would be watched way more. That's just his viewer base. That's just the pull he has. Like, that's part of being a brand, is having brand pull. It's like what you have. So React content in general, and I've said this for years now, is that just chatting is like way better of like a growth or even just a category for people. Like even right now, I just fired up, hey, just chatting 600K, Grand Theft Auto 390K. So yeah, it's almost twice as much as the next highest category.
Oh, well, where's WoW in the category there? Like way down the list.
44K.
Yeah,
it's what is that? 16? It's number 16.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's React just chatting. It's literally the number one content, number one category on Twitch. So you're literally comparing the number one to a game that, admittedly, every content creator in the WoW category will tell you, like, yeah, this you probably shouldn't stream this game. There's a reason, Jake and Bake and all the other creators who are way bigger outside the WoW space, when they stream WoW, the views just plummet. It's just not that type of game. It's not that type of audience. If you're looking to get like, it is one of the big reasons why I myself I'm starting the second YouTube where I can work on other stuff, because I know that I'm never gonna get to the point where I can get like 200,000 views a video on a general topic content unless I go down that storytelling pint style videos that are really, really hard to do and really hard to edit and take incredible amounts of time. But that sort of content you can't put out like 3 times a week. It's like super hard. You're never gonna reach that stage. So in a lot of ways, I feel like you just gotta be smart. If you wanna pick your topic, there's not much you can really do if you jump into a small pond. You're already limited by amount of fish in the.
Yeah, and my other half-baked response is, I don't think that the people who watch the Asmongold video are necessarily stolen views. I don't think this lowers the views on your video. I think it only potentially increases the reach that you have in the future on future videos, because it's publicity that people will click and be like, oh, Asmongold, watch this guy. I actually liked watching his video through Asmongold. I don't think the 15-year-old Asmongold viewer was going to click on a Venruki video and watch why World of Warcraft is like, why new players are quitting World of Warcraft. I think they like Asmongold, they watch Asmongold watch this thing, and they go, oh, that's interesting, or no, not interesting, right? I don't think it's like necessarily stealing views. I know he's not saying that. That's kind of the implication here, is that like, if people didn't react to something, then the original content would be worth more. And that's not true. Reacting to something actually only elevates the content, because I don't think somebody pulled up YouTube and went, oh, look at this Venruki video of why new players are quitting World of Warcraft. And then they immediately saw Asmongold actually watch this video and reacted to it. I'm going to watch that instead. Because people who were going to watch the video in the first place would just watch it, right? Yeah. And then they might watch the Asmongold one later. But people who were going to watch Asmongold and watch him weren't going to watch the Venruki video to begin with. So that's my take on it, is that it's actually only helpful when a content creator watches your content on stream, unless you get to a point where it's like, well, even then, top tier content creators watching each other's shit, then you just get on LSF. You know, it's like, hey, yeah, you end up with a whole bunch of drama. But I don't think it's actually bad.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I think this is just one of those things where he just sounds like he's frustrated by the limitations.
Yeah, WoW viewers, like I'm talking to you guys right now. WoW viewers are a very unique breed of viewer. You guys watch, you don't chat too much. You'll backseat the fuck out of PvE and PvP. Let me just tell you that right now. Yeah. You backseat the fuck out of that. You sometimes have questions, but you almost never sub and never donate, right? Which, don't worry, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying that if you go to just chatting has a much higher interaction in chat, and people just sub and donate like all the time. Like back when I was at just chat, like my viewer count is way lower in WoW than it ever was in just chatting. And if I do just chatting, it still goes up a lot. And then in terms of like my subs, my all-time like sub high when I did streaming for like 3-4 months is like over 1,000. And when you do WoW, it's like only your regulars or people who are really dedicated to your content will actually sub. It's kind of like the old school, like, if you like this creator, you will sub to them thing. Whereas just chatting, it literally just feels like, oh, I sub because I like the conversation, or oh, I sub because, you know, I want to gift subs. People like really like giving and just chatting because they feel like they're having an interaction, a parasocial relationship. So yeah, they honestly though have to do more deep down into the vodka streams. Okay, hold up. I can explain. Yeah, that's fuck. But yeah, even I noticed this initially when it was like League of Legends viewers are kind of similar to WoW viewers, except for some reason they just sub a little bit more on average. And then the more you move towards entertainment and away from content in terms of like educational, the more you get. Like, for example, Peo is always going to have like more subs than somebody of equal
Good work, Zirene. Keep talking about this because now we're guilting them into gifting subs. Apparently, according to Twitch chat. Thank you, anonymous gifter, for the gifted subs. And thank you.
That's a just chatting viewer right there. He didn't. It says anonymous gifter because he didn't want me to know that he actually watches just chatting, and I could have looked at his profile. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, because LoL players is free, so they have more money. That is true. That is true. If you're just chatting, that's free. If you're a LoL player, that's free. If you're a WoW player, you're poor because you're paying for like 3 accounts already. You know. God.
And you're buying gold and getting banned for 2 weeks as well.
Man, I heard about that shit. That is not smart. That is never smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to be completely honest, like that is just kind of how the ecosystem works. Is it is more profitable to be an entertainer always than it is to be an educator. That is content creation space, period. You are more likely to be more successful. Not saying that educators can't be successful, but I'm saying you are more likely to be more successful if you are an entertainer as opposed to an educator. If you are both, it's okay, but your content that's educational focused will usually do worse than the content that is entertainment focused. And Asmongold is an entertainer. Payo is an entertainer. The Payo content's going to do better than the Snomi content on average, even if you guys had the same viewer base, right? In terms of like numbers, because people who watch something, people who watch educational content are there to learn something, and the average person who wants to learn something, that is a way lower number, the number of people who actually want to learn something about a game versus the people who just want to fucking laugh or see something funny, right? Like Gorfax like uses like a bunch of people's clips and stuff. He uses my clips a lot too, and I love it, right? I think it's great. I think that he does what TV does, and it's actually something I learned in acting was and I guess it's kind of the premise of a Chekhov's gun, the idea of like you don't show something without it being important or relevant later on to an audience member. So like you see a gun on the table, it's going to get used in the future, or you mention like something like, oh, this is my grandma's wedding ring, it's very special to me. It's like that's going to be relevant later. You don't mention something without it being important later. So in YouTube and movies, it's life or a stream with the boring parts cut out. Like a TV show is literally life, but with the boring parts cut out, so you get the good parts that matter for viewing. Otherwise, you're just watching somebody. Like I don't know about you guys, but I don't like watching IRL streams where people are traveling and walking around with a backpack. I'll just go watch their clips later or their highlights later, because I don't want to watch 4 hours of somebody walking around for 2 minutes of that was actually fucking great. But I know some people are like, they want to be there. They're like, they want to be the person who chat who types like, I was here. Hello, YouTube. Right? I'm just going to watch that shit on YouTube. Yeah. Right?
Well, I mean, the other people that that would watch like a disguised toast, 10 hours of him farming a shiny Pokemon and just sitting there. So that they can say, I was here when he finally gets the shiny Pokemon to happen. But it's a very fascinating thing. A lot of creators, I feel like they try to equate, or a lot of people in general, they try to equate the amount of work they put in to how much, they get rewarded. But in YouTube, a lot of times it's not necessarily how much work you put in, but how smart you were with the work that you put in. I've been studying a lot of like Mr. Beast and how he does his videos and his algorithms and everything. It's not a mistake. It's a lot of hard work with like how he edits, how he picks everything he does. You basically, you can't just like make a really good video on any random topic and expect to get, I'm going to get a ton of different views and I'm going to get like I put 50 hours of work in this video. It's really good topic on underwater basket weaving. So I'm going to get like 200,000 views. It just doesn't work that way. The topic itself has to be something that has the potential. So in some of the interviews, for example, if you guys are ever curious, go watch some of Mr. Beast's interviews. He'll literally talk about how he picks topics, and he'll be like, is this a good topic? He'll think, is that big enough? Is enough people interested in that? Does this like have the potential to be for him? He wants it to be a 50 million view video plus when he thinks of topics. So it's one of those things where it feels like, man, if you're on the WoW space and you pick like a niche topic, you're not gonna get a lot of views, and that's all on you. You just can't. And I feel like big part of it, and I pulled up Pint's channel as well. So Pint is a really, really good creator in the WoW space, or was, I should say, a very good creator in the WoW space. And you can see his videos, he's one of the few WoW content creators who has been able to be that person who puts out a video and it gets hundreds and thousands of views in the WoW space. But the common theme you'll notice is that his videos often have nothing to do with the WoW itself. It's him telling some story with WoW as the backdrop of it.
He's a storyteller. He's not a WoW player.
Yeah, it's like his videos really, you could, and this is why when he moved to Final Fantasy, he's actually getting more views than ever doing Final Fantasy. His stream has blown up. He's like a 1,000 to 2,000 viewer streamer now because he's found a better conduit to tell his story. So it's not so much that WoW content creation itself is broken. It's that by picking WoW, you just limit yourself, and all the really, really good content creators notice this trend and they move to other topics. Like that. There's a reason why if you look at the top WoW channels and the top WoW creators, they're all slowly moving out to different topics because they realize, wait, I can get like 2 times the views doing the exact same thing. I just swapped the backdrop of WoW into something else instead.
Yep. And I feel like Pint, if he moved to GTA and played on those servers, right, on NoPixel, he'd be really successful, right? Now, granted, I know what would make someone successful a lot of times, and I know why they wouldn't do it. I know why I wouldn't do just chatting streams all the time or a hot tub stream, you know? Very successful, would be very successful. Your hot tub stream would be very successful too, Sno, let me tell you. If I were your account manager, I'd be pushing for that. You know, the first one was very good. Just go for round 2. But anyway, like I feel like even if you know what's going to be good for you, a lot of times you don't do it because you don't care about what's going to be good. You care about the content for you. Right? And actually, I don't know how much of this you want to watch, but there was actually a video that I stumbled upon last night, which was a perfect example of this, where I'm actually going to check this guy's YouTube in general and see how much he gets view-wise. Okay. He has a lot of like videos that are like 100 views, 30 views, whatever. This one has like 3.3K. This was I think he's like a Kebab Warrior player. And he had like a video about like Kebab Warriors a while ago when people were like looking into him. But I actually thought this guy had like good energy, and I thought he was like an entertainer. For the most part, but he's also trying to be an educator at the same time. And I saw this and I was like, I would watch this guy go further in his explanation of things as a goofball than I would want him to go more into an educational thing. I wouldn't want him to be smarter. I'd want him to be funnier. I know it's a weird thing to say, but
I like his thumbnail, I like his initial video feed already.
he's reacting to the WoW head warrior bistless for next days.
Oh, poor Baby Hoof. I like Baby Hoof. She's really nice. Wait, okay, let's play a couple minutes. Let's see.
Boys, what you're looking at here in front of you is the best in-slot gear for arms warriors in Phase 3 of TBC Classic. And I emphasize arms warriors for one simple reason. I don't see a two-hander on this list. As a matter of fact, I see War Glaives of Azzinoth, and what that means is that the Kebab Warriors won, baby. Kebab number 1. All right? I said this many moons ago. Tell your rogue friends, tell your GMs, Glaives are going to the Kebab Warriors. All right? Maybe the Fury Warriors first, because those are our boys. We don't want any beef with them. But at the end of the day, Kebab Warriors, Arms Warriors are getting them. All right? If you're sitting there with a twin blade of the Phoenix, you know, looks like you could You could skewer meat with that little goofy thing. You don't get these. This is for real kebab warrior G's, all right? That's it. Just the realest kebab warriors from any given time. Without further ado, let's go through the entire list. First thing is the Cursed Vision of Sargeras, right? Sargeras, however you want to pronounce it, right? Sargeras, potato. It's a leather piece, and we're taking this from the Rogues Atuo. Get out of here, all right? This is ours. We got hit. We got crit. We got.
I get the gist. I get the gist in the video. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's the entertainment value is way better than the actual educational value.
Yeah, if you're like an arms warrior, like here's the thing, right? Is only arms warriors who play kebab will look at an arms warrior kebab bis list video. But even a rogue is going to watch this video and laugh. Or like a Fury warrior is going to watch this video and laugh. Or like a WoW player is going to watch this video and laugh. Because some of the things he says later on are like pretty good. But even just like the opening stuff in the first minute, I would want him to go further with it, where he's talking about Fury Warriors are his boys and stuff like that. Like maybe the Fury Warriors first, like let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still playing kebab here. I enjoyed it, and it made me go like, damn, I actually want him to go like 2-11 with the entertainment here, because I don't really care about the biz list.
Well, I mean, right? It's kind of like the Tyler 1 scenario, where Tyler 1's best content is when he gets banned from League and has to do everything but League. And he has some of the most entertaining non-gaming content you'll ever see, but he hates it because he hates he hates not playing League, apparently.
So actually, play like the next 20 seconds of the video.
Okay.
Got attack power. And we're even going to look at demons every 10 minutes if we want to. We're going to find them on the minimap. You can't even hide from us. We got the war glaives, right? We're out there, attacking demons left and right. We kill so many demons, we need to see them. We need to know where they are. We need the Cursed Vision of Sargeras. That's ours. Choker of Endless Nightmares. Hit rating. Dual wield. Not...
Yeah. So, just the explanation of why they need Cursed Vision of Sargeras. We kill so many demons, we got to know where they are. I'm like, all right, I'm on board, man.
I'm sold. You got me. Yeah. Can't argue against that.
Well, yeah, the whole video is actually, from my recollection, pretty good. But that part stood out to me, where I was like, okay, everybody looks at the Cursed Vision of Sargeras, they never look at that part or say anything about it. But he found a way to make it like an explanation. It's kind of like the twist that everybody looks for of like why you should get it. It's like, oh, but we do this or we do that. It's like, we got to know where the demons are. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I was telling my chat at the start earlier, when I was thinking like, man, because I told myself that this year was the year I developed my second YouTube properly, and I put a lot of effort into it and do it properly. I was telling chat before that I was thinking for a while, I was thinking, man, should I just stop all WoW content for a year? Because I've had 2 pretty solid years, and because I'm really good at monetization and understanding how to do all this stuff, I've saved up a good amount of money over the 2 years. So I have that in the back pocket. If I need to just take a year off to only focus on developing this YouTube content, then I can do that and not get paid for a year, and that's fine. But it's so tricky, because I think a lot of WoW creators and going back to Big Moran, entire tweet and everything, they really they love the game in a lot of ways. They love the game. They want to be able to make that content. It is just that you just can't. You can't force 20 to 40K viewer content to be that 200,000 viewer content. No matter how much you love the content, it just, you can't force it to be that other type of content. It just doesn't really work, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the guy. His name is Tomato Sauce, and if you do want to follow him on YouTube or anything like that, so
get that man some glaives. Unless he's in my guild, but get that man some glaives.
Yeah, dude, get him some glaives and Cursed Vision of Sargeras, So, oh man, yeah, and Menarch just said, "I'm a rogue, and I have seen this video and laughed." I don't know if you cried at the same time, but Yeah, it's a good video to watch if you're like a rogue or any warrior player, and even if you're not and you play World of Warcraft, I found it entertaining. So I found value in him as opposed to his explanation content. So
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I always tell every content creator who asks me, like, if they ask me to look over their stuff sometimes and see, like, hey, how can I improve this? What can I do here? I always ask them to look like, hey, just like serious side note, what is your goal here? Like, are you aiming to do like content full time? What is your end goal? Because if you're not actually taking steps to get to that end goal, and that end goal isn't actually even like doable, then you gotta make the plan to get there, right? Because sometimes people like I had one guy who said like, hey, I just want to make like content full time, get like $100,000 a year or whatever, and I want to do like WoW specific content in this niche, and I'm looking at him and thinking, man, you know how few people can do it in like these niches of WoW to make that much money off this type of content? Super hard. Super hard, and like the numbers you need to reach that sort of level is kind of like really hard. Whereas if you're that good enough to the point, it's not that you can't do it, but if you're so good at creating the content and trying to force a story into all these weird niches and make them entertaining, that you can do that in WoW niche, you probably like can 10x that. Not in WoW is the problem. Is that, man, if you better really love WoW if you're making $100,000 a year in WoW, because you'd probably be making $1 million a year not in WoW if you're able to do that in the WoW category. And I mean, it's just I think it's already been seen with all the streamers and such that get into WoW, they leave WoW and then they go on to other categories eventually if they want to grow. There's a reason why Aspen doesn't stream that much WoW anymore. It's just not very good for his career to stream a lot of WoW.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, is it depends on what your end goal is. Like, for example, my end goal is I just want, for me, it was baby steps of, hey, don't overwhelm yourself with, where you want to be. Just focused on like where you are, and like I just wanted to turn the stream on, because I was somebody who would like stream every now and then.
Yeah, it was really random. I remember your early streams. You just like pop up in Blackwing Lair suddenly.
Yeah, I would just stream every now and then. And then as soon as like the beginning of like January last year, is when I really started to stream more consistently. At least every week on raid days and stuff like that, or like 3 times a week. And now it's like six times a week and stuff like that. So I think for me, it was mostly just start streaming, just actually like press go live. And I always just want to be like more available to like help people with problems or things they're having in game. For me, as a WoW or League of Legends commentator back in the day, the best compliment I ever got was that I helped somebody with the game. Like, that's why I did my YouTube back in the day for League, was just to help people get better at the game or have champion guides. So I always want to help people get better, or if they're having trouble with an encounter. I understand that like doing a YouTube breakdown of like Blackwing or Black Temple is a more effective way of doing what I want to do, but I like the interaction. And I've always actually been like this too. Even when I was like a popular public figure, I didn't like somebody coming up and asking for an autograph and then leaving. I wanted to have a conversation with that person, ask them like what their favorite champion is, like, who their favorite team is, and then talk to them a little bit, and then like sit down and have a conversation. I don't like the one and done autograph buy. I feel like that's not really meaningful. I like sitting down with people and like talking, even if they're just a random fan. It was actually really funny because I got a DM, or not a DM, I got a whisper at 2 a.m. when I was playing Warsong Gulch, and somebody said, the Zirene? And I said, yeah. And he said, I played blackjack with you and Riv in Vegas. And I was like, that was a really good time. Riv and I played blackjack for like 36 hours straight. When we at the Mandalay Bay Event Center, when the League of Legends finals were there, I think it was TSM C9 or TSM CLG. That was we went to the blackjack tables constantly, and then after the event, we just stayed there for 36 hours and played. So like literally like Sky Williams came up to our table. Dyrus's dad came up to our table and opened up a fanny pack with dollar bills and said he got kicked out of his room because Trick 2G was in there with a girl. And we're just like, wait, what's going on? Like that was a 36-hour period that I will always remember. So this guy was like, oh yeah, I came up to you during that time. He played some hands with us because fans wanted to like tap in and play a hand or two and stuff like that. And I was always like, man, they're going to lose their money because it's gambling. And, but you know what? Fuck it. So basically every fan who sat down to play a hand with Rivington and myself always lost in blackjack, but apparently it made like really good memories. So it's stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a fever dream. It does sound like a fever dream. It sounds like a fever dream. I remember Sky Williams like sitting there being like, oh my God, like he put a lot of money down. He's like, am I going to win this? And then he got 21 and he went, yes, Black people get something. Like I was like, oh shit, Sky, no. Oh my God. It's times like that. Like I like making meaningful connections to people, even just randomly. And that's why like I stream is like, I like making meaningful connections with my chat or people in my chat. So I care more about the regulars than I do. I care more about having like solid regulars than I do casting a wide net, which I know is not necessarily good for business. But if I wanted to be a good businessman, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing because I don't want to be a good businessman. I just want to be somebody who's helpful. So
it's like when I play Arena sometimes, I think, man, it's probably not the most productive use of my time right now to be grinding out Arena games right now. Could be probably even making a YouTube video right now or making a guide. Nope, we're gonna grind our head into the wall here at 2.2k MMR. I think at the end of the day, yeah, a lot of creators have to be realistic about what they want out of it and what steps they need to do to get to that end goal. I think at the end of the day.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to be and what you want to do, right? Because like for me, if I want, and you have to be, like you said, be realistic. If I'm like, I want to be an educator who has fun, streams at his own hours, etc., all this shit, I have to be realistic and be like, is my goal really to have like 1 billion viewers? It's not a realistic one. Even if I went like, oh, I have 1,000 viewers, it's not really a realistic one. And if it is a realistic one, I don't want to do the things that it takes to make it realistic. I don't want to post on Twitter. I don't want to make a new YouTube channel. I don't want to like do all these things, right?
You don't want to do some TikToks?
No, I don't want to do TikTok, right? It's for me, I want to play by my rules to get where I want to be, right? And normally I don't care about where I'm going to end up. I just care about how I get there, you know? I'm not like I don't like fucking people over in the industry to like go higher, climb a ladder. I'm very much so like a head down, do the work type person if I'm like really passionate about where I want to go. Otherwise, I just like enjoying the journey. It's why I'm playing so much fucking WoW. Is I love the game. I love playing it. I want to be helpful. Do I necessarily want to make money from this? It would be nice, but it's not my fucking goal, right? So, yeah. That's really just how I am, is being successful and playing by my own rules are like opposed to each other, you know? Yeah. I can't really be successful playing by the rules that I've made for myself, which I've accepted. I'm just like, I could live with just being a 60 viewer Andy for my entire career of streaming. I'm fine with that. Will it be a career that I have to give up eventually because I'm a 60 viewer Andy? Potentially. But I've come to terms with that and I'm okay with that because I don't want to be a 1,000 viewer Andy who would have to do the things that I would need to do to be a 1,000 viewer Andy. Is that laziness? Maybe a little bit. Is that integrity? Maybe a little bit. Right? It's a little bit column A, a little bit column B. Yeah, but I feel like that wouldn't be me if I did it that way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I relate a lot to that. I mean, people see that in the way I make content sometimes. Guys, I know that 2-hour breakdown videos aren't the best YouTube content. Like, trust me, I've done enough YouTube now. I know what videos work, what videos don't work. But when I do those videos, it's because I want to make that video. It's not so much because of the views. It's just like, that's the video I want to make, even if it doesn't get as many views.
Yeah, and like I worked for Pro Guides. I can tell you guys firsthand what it's like to make content for you and what it's like to make content for somebody else. Sno, you're making that 2-hour video not for Gorehound in chat or Felipe. You're making that video for Sno because you want to make the 2-hour video. If you wanted to make a video for Gorehound or Felipe, it would be very, very different.
It'd be the 3-hour video because they are loyal viewers of mine. We'll watch the full 3-hour video with ads every 30 minutes.
You're making that 2-hour video for past Sno. It's actually really funny because I always like to treat people or like teach people in a way where it's like, I wish somebody had taught me this, right? Passing along knowledge. So yeah, I have a hunch that you're making videos for past you the way that you would want to have things explained to you. Yeah, to be taught. So you're making the video there for all the Snos in the past. So if you're a past Sno and enjoyed his video, then that's his target demographic, which I understand as a content creator. You shouldn't be making content for yourself. You should be making content to be consumed, right? So
yeah,
but that's not how I want to play this fucking game. So fuck off. No.
Yeah, and speaking of which, and that is why Zirene is in our third topic as a filthy disqualified Andy in the threes bracket.
I did it my way.
I didn't even know you were on this list until you told me, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, you are on this list. You're on this DQ list.
Yeah, go back to the top of it so you can see the name of this thing. Disqualifications of Season 2, Region US, list of disqualified teams.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, this is basically... It's a really bad naming because it says like disqualifications for Season 2 Region US, and they have this for EU as well and such. But really, it's just that someone took the algorithm and found all the teams that didn't qualify for titles or etc. for one reason or another. Maybe they moved servers or maybe everyone left the team. So it just put the title disqualified on them, and this has been making its rounds in the PvP circles, but they're not actually like banned.
Wouldn't there be way more fucking teams though if it was like they left the teams or something?
I think it's because it has to be within like a certain.
It's like every 1,700 team plus. Because like click on my team. Click on the team that I'm DQ'd with.
Okay, let's see. Where are you? Where's the old Zirene?
Because I was like, my friend just sent me this and they were like, sorry about the DQ. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We getting Dairy Queen or something? He's like, no.
Owners of the 1,700 rating bracket here.
I was like, this was a team that I joined for a week and for points randomly. I played with 2 other people who aren't even listed here. I played with I think I played with a druid and like a warlock randomly, which weren't any of these guys. And we went 3-7. At 1,200 rating, and this team is not eligible for Dr. Scrow Totem. Dr. Scrow Totem is the one who's not eligible for Challenger. He got DQ'd from Challenger.
Unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. So yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, "What? Why is this even noteworthy?" I don't understand. And then I clicked it and went into it, and I was like, "This is really weird." This is. I saw it, and I was like, "Did somebody on my team do something?" Because last season it was like a bunch of DQ'd teams because of like win trading or like boosting or piloting or things like that, right? Like. The Zaryu thing where he didn't get a title because somebody he played with got DQ'd, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, what the fuck happened here? This is back when we were on Fairlina, so this is months ago. Wait, can you click my character on this?
Okay, let's see, Zirene. Yeah, it has nothing else on you. It just says
nothing else. Okay.
Your personal rating is 1265 and you put 10 games.
Go to the team. Click Dr. Scrow Totem.
It just says his team's on Fairlina.
Okay.
So he's got his 2s, his 3s, and his 5s.
It doesn't have any nice
his well-known 5s team, the Butthole Express. He's very committed to his naming philosophy.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so the list of disqualified teams, people. But yeah, because I saw this list initially and I thought, wait, why would Chaz be disqualified? He's got like no one else listed on this team. And then like I played against Qbot and Zbot before and they've already got secured rank 1 or high glad or something. So I didn't really understand like why the people won this list. And then people realized like, yeah, this list is literally just someone used the algorithm to find out people who weren't qualified for titles and such. So it's not really disqualified. They could have just left the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you see the MQG change though?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Blizzard actually listening. This is good. This is like really good. Interesting that this didn't come on the from the community council, but this is really really good. So for people that don't know, MQG was getting changed. Basically, they were just hard nerfing it across the board with the haste values. But the problem is it would nerf PvE mages who still use it to fix a PvP problem because MQG was just broken in Arena. Yeah. Way too strong.
The other thing too is MQG pruning right now is a little bit weird because it's like your Skull of Gul'dan is going to be the thing that people go for anyway and use it in Arena, right? That's going to be like the thing that replaces it. One thing that actually came up in my chat, and I'll give full credit to I'll give full credit to Chewbacca because he had a suggestion for chickens that I actually thought was probably like the best solution I had heard. Like because this was something where like I didn't think MQG was going to be like that big of a deal in PvE, but apparently people like really wanted to, right? So the chicken change that I had heard was from Chewbacca, and this was one where like people are talking about like, oh, you know, chicken's not a problem, all these things. The chicken change I had heard from, I don't know if he got this from somewhere else, but it was chickens should proc 100%, but the trade-off should be not like, oh, it's a unique buff, not you can only have one of them, but you have to have the chicken equipped for the entire duration of it to keep it. So you can't pop chicken and then swap it.
Ooh, that's interesting. Because the haste buff in itself is actually still quite strong.
Yeah. It's still strong, right? It takes up the slot of like a... it's basically like a perma Quagmiran's Eye for the entire fight, or a perma Lust at the cost of a trinket slot, right? Just leave chicken alone. I think chicken is just really convoluted in terms of like procking it in general. I just think that's kind of shitty. So people say like leave chicken alone. I just think at least make it 100% proc, right?
So what you're saying is I need to fill the group with a bunch of sacrificial chickeners who will give up their trinket slot for me. And then I don't have to give up my trinket slot.
It's still your best trinket slot though. 5% permanent haste is still better than any other trinket, right?
I think if I recall right, someone did do the values for this a while back. And it's not quite bis in that it doesn't beat like a DST, but it's like
well, DST would be your other one.
It'd be like a secondary trinket, yeah.
But I think that having the chicken equipped for the entire duration of it makes it more fair because I think one of the biggest issues right now is casters and shit like that. They're all complaining about it. Melee are complaining about it because the procking of it is just really shitty and really like convoluted to get it, but it is something that you can guarantee if people don't fuck up. So Melee are complaining about that, and then casters are complaining about this haste buff that they get for like not even a trinket slot. So I feel like that's kind of the one that appeases the Melee and gets them half of what they want and half of what the casters want. Yeah.
Or we go the complete opposite route, and then we just have spellbook chicken clicky, like when it was broken in classic Max. Yeah, with the ZG buff all the time.
Yeah,
chickens for everyone. But yeah, no, I'd be okay with that change. But I'm not someone that uses chicken that much because I've gotten to the point in WoW now where, man, sometimes just passing just isn't worth it because it feels like I have to lower my level of play to get the pass, and I don't like doing that. I like passing, but I like also playing my role well in the raid, and I don't like it when playing my role well in the raid is counter to passing, and then I have like give that up in order to pass.
But it almost always is though.
Yeah,
like parsing is usually counterintuitive to playing well. That's why like I don't look at Prot Paladin parses fucking ever, because I'm just like, it's a joke. Like if you're like Vengeance spec or anything like that, like if you spec like 0-31-30 and you wear a two-hander on Void Reaver, it counts you as proc because you have Reckoning, right? Because Reckoning will proc at some point, and you can just use a two-hander for the whole fight and like get 100. So parses are just fucking cheesy, right? And people are saying that it'll make it more toxic. I think that I don't think that is, sorry, I think that's an exaggeration, because I think that parsing is already toxic and you're just saying it will remain where it is, because parsing is just toxic in general if people want to parse. People are like, oh, prop your chickens, try to get this thing. If somebody fucks up the chicken, so good job, bro. Like, parsing in general is a toxic thing. You ever try to parse as a fucking healer? You ever try to parse as a fucking rogue who doesn't want to expose? Like,
we had a healer that used to pass by going around and using bandages on cooldown.
Yeah, that's Lotheb part. That was Lotheb
Yeah,
parsing,
the bandage passing.
That was
so
Lotheb.
stupid. So stupid.
But legitimately, though, I do feel like that is a thing where people want parsing to not be toxic or quote unquote toxic. I don't know what the appropriate word would be for this, but it's always going to be in TBC. That's just how the game is. Your group fucks you over. Your group composition fucks you over. The people around you can fuck you over by not having engineering, by not having the chicken proc, right? There's so many different things. So these things will not be solved here. Wrath of the Lich King will solve some of it because party buffs are now raid-wide buffs, right? But that'll get toxic in a different way where it's like, who's getting tricks of the trade? Who's getting hysteria? Oh man, this guy got this buff. This guy got that buff. Like, that's just how it works. If you look at, it's actually funny to say, but classic parsing is probably, like vanilla parsing is probably the least toxic parsing will ever be. Because that was really self-dependent on world buffs. And people just did damage. You didn't really have like a lot of utility in the raid.
I mean, it's very interesting how parsing came and then went really quickly at the same time. It's almost like people in Blackwing Lair, when parsing was introduced, everyone was like, oh yeah, parsing, this is something else we can do. And then as it went more and more down the line, as it got more and more convoluted and complicated as we went to TBC and such, now as everyone's like, parsing, really? No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. We don't even have to write group makeup for this one today. Let's just forget about that today.
Well, it's really funny, too, because people are so ingrained in the parse meta. It's so ingrained in them to try and do things a certain way that I've had times where, like, God, we had, like, I was, my one of my Horde guild's aggression, I was sitting there, and the first, like, 2 weeks I played with them, High King Mulgar is, like, a shit show. Like, we're wiping on High King Mulgar. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm sitting there, and then I guess like by the third raid I'm with them, and we kill it, and I'm like, so guys, why are we killing High King first? Like, it's phase 2.5? Do you really think you're going to be parsing and caring about your parse in 2.5? Is like, does anybody care about their actual parse here? Raise your fucking hand. Because I won't be taunting off you next time. Like, it's like, who is it? Who's making it? So, because that fight is just so much harder if you kill High King first and you aren't like bursting him down with lust and stuff. So you're like halfway doing a parse meta where you aren't actually trying to parse, but you're doing it in the way that would make it so that you can parse. Like, I'm sitting here getting death coiled by the Warlock for an extra 2 minutes during the fight, and I just want to off myself. Like, I'm just like, what? I don't want to be in this raid anymore. Like, what the fuck? I can't. It's so bad getting death coiled by that guy over and over again. Just please kill him as fast as possible. I can't. And then we had wipes where it's like somebody would get coiled into like the whirlwind, die. That guy's running around now. People get AoE'd. It's just like, just kill it. Parsing is just so ingrained in a lot of guilds culture that you sometimes have to take a step back and go, are we really trying to parse on High King Mulgar in phase 2.5?
Yeah.
And then it makes people go like, yeah, I guess we're not.
Man, I mean, for people that used to tune into my second guild on Felina, on my out rogue. Man, sometimes I would. That was a guild I was trying to save through being an officer at the last minute. I have to convince them, like, guys, why are we doing these like passing strats on Fathom Lord and all this other stuff? We're not even like 10 out of 10. Let's chill. Let's focus on clearing all of SSC first, and then we can start doing these pass strats that make the fights harder. Let's just like make sure we get all the kills first. So, speaking of which, your life with engy items, have you done much arena without engy items?
I've done a little bit, but only played paladin, so it hasn't really been relevant. Mages feel a lot better to play against. It feels like I actually have a chance to stun a cast and not have it go off, or kick it on rogue and not have it go off. So yeah, that it feels way less. It feels like their burst is way more predictable and not just really fucking quick, right? So just wait for Skull and Arena. Skull is still not as good as Mind Quickening Gem though, so it's like,
yeah, it's been really nice, honestly. Playing arena without the engy items has actually been really nice. I need to play more. I need to grind up. Man, I got so much games I got to play this week actually to get my team's ratings back up. But it's been actually really nice, and kind of like we talked about last podcast, where belt and sculling at the start isn't a thing anymore. With those cheese items out, it's actually made arena a lot more consistent in that it plays out how you expect it to play, and you don't get surprised by like a 1% belt at a weird timing and weird things happening. It's actually been really refreshing to play arena.
People are really scared right now of double rogue with double glaives. Yeah. Like everybody's talking about it, where they're just like, how is my druid supposed to survive against this? Like double undead rogue against like warrior druid. They're just like, my druid can't survive. He's just gonna get like garroted. He's gonna get bled up. He's gonna get like absolutely jumped here. And then if anything happens, or like, I mean, obviously you stun lock him, double kidneys into blind, which he will eventually have to trinket, and or you blind off target, and then if he trinkets, you blind him again. So yeah, it's there's a lot of issues that are like popping up where people are like, double rogue is probably going to be really scary with glaives. This is like peak rogue.
Yeah, well, I mean, for people that don't know, on EU, if you ever watch Mir's stream, there's one double rogue human team that has been farming people. It tracks, infamous in the PvP scene, because he's quite the character, that guy. But he plays double rogue on human side EU. They got rank 1 with it.
Wait, who?
Trax.
Trax, okay.
Yeah, so he plays double human rogue. Trax and Little Johnny. I forgot what Trax's character name is, but they play double rogue human side, and there's literally nothing the enemy can do. Literally nothing. Like even Mir will like he will like put his back to the corner, hide in the corner, and like they'll do everything they can, and he has no counterplay. He literally just stands there and he's like, oh, well, he tries to instant trinket cheap shot one, and then oh, that doesn't matter because there's another rogue on you. You just get like, he just gets CC'd and they 100-0 his partner, and there's nothing he can do. He just sits there and is like, oh, well, that was fun, guys. We got to play the game. The double rogue just destroyed us.
It's because blind is also the strongest CC in the game right now. Aside from maybe Cyclone, right?
Yeah.
Long duration, doesn't really DR with anything else in the game except for Cyclone. To my knowledge, I think there might be something else too. But
and then the rogue can sap off it most of the time as well.
Yep. You can sap off it. It allows you to blind plus sap, means DRs are gone because that's 20 seconds. It's very easy to like to pull off. And if blind is usually to force a trinket, and if you can blind somebody a second time and then sap off it, it just becomes a gigantic thing where like if you have two of the best CCs back to back in the game, then well, yeah, that's probably a win for you. So yeah. The only thing I see that team like losing to consistently is any paladin team, but paladins aren't going to make it that high unless they farm double DPS teams the whole way.
I mean, the plus side is I don't think you're going to go see many double glaive, double rogue teams at high MMRs because there's just not many like PvP rogues that raid enough to get war glaives.
That's what one of my friends said. Is he's like, it's not going to be that scary because he's like, I don't know a lot of PvP rogues who are actually going to get glaives. So he's like, if I see glaives, I'm like, this guy's a fucking chump. So
the one to be scared of though would be Snuts and Chan, because they both have rogues, they both have raid teams, and they both have glaive prio. So we may see them. They won't be human side. The plus side is they won't be human side, so they can't abuse stupid Gogo's perception. But they will be playing double rogue glaives if they ever get glaives on both of them.
Yeah, that's what me and my friend are doing, because we both have a war glaive prio. We're like, when we both get them, we got to play together. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get carried by glaives to, you know, something above like 2,400 for once.
How is I asked you this before, but what are your thoughts on the shadow resist gear for Mother? Because now that you've actually had actual attempts, because last time we talked about it, you hadn't actually gotten to raid properly, and now you've had your Mother. What are your thoughts on shadow resist gear prio, and how much like different classes will actually need shadow resist? Because I've been playing around with my shadow resist set as well.
Don't need it on tank.
And I was like, man, I don't even feel as a rogue I really even need this stuff. I can sprint, I can rocket boots, and if I can use the jewel crafting neck for like a third shield if I want.
Yeah, I don't. Cloak doesn't like break the tether, but I think it still might go through cloak damage wise.
Yeah, it goes through cloak. Yeah, you can't cloak it, but you can just sprint rocket boots if you need.
Yeah. I'm just gonna wear 174, or actually I have more than that, because I just took a second round of T5 and just put void spheres in it, and then I have
that's what a lot of people did.
I have the cloak and the ring from Consortium, like rep farming. So yeah, I have a lot of like really good pieces.
See, I went the cheap route because I could have done what you did and just got a second set of tier, but then I realized that would require re-enchanting and paying money for like all of that stuff. So I just fished out all my Waste Walker and Phase 1 gear and just put the gems in that instead.
Yeah, that's what I did on PTR for a bit, was just take like previous gear and do that to see like worst case scenario where I don't get more tier, what would it look like? Yeah, void spheres are going up in price, and yeah, I think that Mother, sure, there are ways to play around it, but the average guild isn't going to have the DPS to withstand that, and that means that the times that somebody gets double Fatal Attraction goes up, right? If your kill time is longer, the chance that somebody gets double Fatal Attraction twice goes up as well, and that means they aren't wearing Shadow Res and they pretty much die, or they all die. So I've done attempts with Shadow Res, without Shadow Res, and these Shadow Res ones are comfier. The ones without Shadow Res is like top guild basically trying to do it on a timer with like very specific strat, and it can go wrong. So the variance is high. If you just want to down the boss, get your Shadow Res. So
yeah, and for people that don't know, the 174, there's a reason everyone's aiming for 174. It's because 174 plus the priest buff gets you to the 244 breakpoint?
Yes.
Where you will no longer take full damage from the shadow damage, basically. Yeah. And that's why every guild's saying 174 is the number to get.
Yeah, 244 is the magic number of you will always partially resist. So you will never take 100% damage. You'll only take 75, 50, or 20% of the shadow damage, or 0.
So what's your guild doing with your first crafted though? Because that was what I was wondering what you're going to do. Because I've heard a lot of guilds telling me they're probably going to make backs for their first item because it only takes 1 heart. But I haven't really looked into it that much as far as like what the first crafted we're going to make is.
I don't think we're spending our hearts on crafting those things, Shadow Res, for a single boss, when you can use the hearts on BIS bracers for some classes. I think we're handing them out more to those guys, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the more hardcore your guild, the more like a lot of people could even just buy the stuff that they want.
Yeah. Well, if somebody's showing up without Shadow Res to any of the raids that I'm in, they're probably benched, because we've been talking for months about Shadow Res. Like, one of my guilds has a thing where they get like 100, they buy like 100 of the Consortium things off the auction house, and then they have like a drop party where they're just like, if you need Shadow Res, get in this fucking group, come to Netherstorm, So yeah, it's just you should. In my opinion, people should have shadow res from greens and shit. Your mother kill time is not going to be like that relevant, and plus a lot of those things are just stamina anyway. So yeah, you would just have like pieces you could maybe put back on, I guess, but I don't feel like it's a big deal. I feel like you're just gonna the top guilds will be killing it without shadow res, and then using their hearts on bis pieces for wrists and all those things. So yeah.
I mean, that pretty much lines up with what I was thinking as well. Because, man, every time I was making this gear, I was thinking, man, I'm not even sure if I even really need this stuff. When I was thinking about how easy it is to actually get out of it. Because have you seen the weak aura that like basically tells you to just like where to run and such?
Yeah,
it makes it really easy. Makes it really, really easy. Have you seen the Blackwing Lair changes on Season of Mastery to wrap up today? It's actually interesting. I was looking at them before we started today. Actually, interesting. What are your thoughts on them so far? So for people that don't know, basically Blackwing Lair is being changed in Season of Mastery. They're doing what they did for MC, where they changed the bosses to be harder. So they're doing that for Blackwing Lair as well. And they're just changing a bunch of stuff. So like Razor Gore has a giant egg in the middle now that you can't kill, and it'll just break open, and you have to figure out how to deal with that ad. And like Veil has starts at 60% now apparently instead of 30%, making it harder. And then the buff stacks, so you actually can get stronger and stronger over time. But what are your thoughts, Zirene? See anything interesting here?
Chromagus was the craziest one.
Oh, Chromag's the ice one, right? Or there's like ice cubes. I saw someone link me some footage before.
Firemaw and Chromagus are the two that seemed the craziest to me. Granted, I didn't see what Nefarian does, but Firemaw does like a chain lightning now on top of all the other shit he did. Chromagus is you no longer can line of sight his breath, and based on whatever debuff you dispel, it does a different thing. So if you dispel like the poison from somebody, it drops a sleep poison cloud from like green drakes on the ground. If you dispel the curse, I think it does AoE Shadow Bolt. If you dispel the fire or the magic one, the red one, it puts fire patch on the ground. If you dispel the frost one, it puts, or the blue one, the monodrain. Yeah, it's the monodrain. It puts an ice block. Then that's the only way to LOS the breath is to get behind the ice block. So you have to dispel blues before the ice block or before the breath goes out. And also, I believe he does every breath in a random order, or I think it might be a static order. I don't know, but he goes through every breath. So you have to deal with incinerate. You have to deal with time lapse.
It looks actually kind of fun to rate. I can't go back and redo it now because it's too soon. I don't want to play classic again, but it looks actually interesting.
Yeah, are those green clouds putting people to sleep, or are they just poison clouds?
I'm not sure. I think they're poison, but someone else was telling me, like a little bit buggy. You would get hit behind like the ice blocks and such sometimes. So yeah, that's what I think. What is happening there? Maybe someone was telling me like it's a work in progress encounter where there's a lot of like weird stuff still happening, and people are still figuring out how it works and such.
Okay, it stacks up to 10, and then you fall asleep at 10 stacks. Okay, yeah, and then the thing too is you have to dispel those throughout the fight. God, and if somebody has like multiples, then there's the chain lightning on top of Firemaw.
Oh, good. They need. I see. This is how they nerf rogues. They just make every encounter melee unfriendly by putting chain lightning.
Hey, it just means you can only bring one rogue.
God, I used to love watching the Firemaw wipes. There were good times watching guilds learn Firemaw back in the day. Just the endless wiping to Firemaw when people were still figuring it out. All right. So yeah, that's all I got for today. You got anything else for us, Zirene?
No, that's it, man. Oh, but shout out to Blizzard for actually giving like patch notes.
Yeah. Because when you messaged me, because Zirene messaged me, he's like, "Hey, do you know if there's any patch notes for this?" I was thinking like, "Oh, that doesn't sound very Blizzard like. They probably know patch notes." Before I looked.
Yeah. Oh, I do kind of like that they took down PTR. The amount of practicing people would have gotten, and some people already got, is like hurting the release of the raid and all that stuff. So I think they understand that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall is a good thing. I do still wish that they like planned it out better though, so that like it's more well rounded and it wasn't just like, oh, PTR's up today. No, you can't play PTR today. Unfortunate. Log in tomorrow.
Oh,
and things like that.
Also, really, really cool of them to do like 3 tier pieces that drop now from SSCTK and like 3 pieces of loot from Alar, which, you know, that's really good because they're pieces that people still desperately need. It happened to like, I guess it happened to all tier pieces. All tier bosses drop 3 now, so people can play catch up a lot easier, which is one of the things that, you know, people have been.
Yeah, it is really nice.
You can play catch up, and it's easier to get shadow res pieces now, right? And get things for void spheres. So it's actually big. It's actually really big. So yeah, I thought that was like one of the best changes to make. I think this is probably the best PvE change they've made in a while. That was not something that was in TBC. Right before like BT release, right? So I know there's like all these things about like, oh, BT's easier because people have more gear, but like having more gear does feel better in the game, and it doesn't feel good to like, you know, walk into the next phase without experiencing phase 2 BIS. So
yeah, our guild was saying all it took for us to actually get the tokens that we wanted for the right characters was to be increased to 3 items apparently, and suddenly now we're actually getting the tokens we need.
All right. But yep, that was my last thing.
All right. Yeah. I think that's all I got as well. Quick little 2-hour podcast today. We won't be back next week though, I guess, because it'll be release
day.
Yeah, it'll be release day. So we'll all be busy raiding. So we'll see when the next podcast will come. Probably sometime after that. Maybe we'll do like a boss rundown or something, since we'll all have done it on live.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in today, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
All right, see ya.